Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to be diving into my favorite cash game plays. I'm going to show you all some value and some of my favorite studs to pay up for here on Sunday for Week 8 of the NFL season on DraftKings and FanDuel. I cannot wait to get into this one with you. The Thursday Night Football Showdown video yesterday slapped it. Literally gave out free money again. We've really been killing these showdowns. Yeah, we haven't had a GPP takedown. That's not what I'm here for. If I can give you some advice and one night we hit, that's amazing. But at the end of the day, that brief second where I go over cash, if I'm showing you a cash lineup where you're going to beat 50% of the competition and double your money, that's what makes me happy. That is how you profit on daily fantasy sports. No argument to it. So it crushed it yesterday. I'm hoping that we can do the same this Sunday. I love doing well on Thursdays and trying to carry that momentum into Sunday. So in this one, we're going to go over some of my cash game locks. And then if you do have any questions, as always, questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the section below. I'm happy to give you all advice when I can, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, any DFS site, or season-long fantasy questions. All right, now let's jump into this one, starting off at quarterback. In cash games this week, I am looking to pay up at quarterback. That is rare for me to say. Usually I would want to start scrolling down, and I would want to pick somebody in this range. I don't hate some of these cheaper guys. I just feel a lot more comfortable in cash this week playing with Deshaun Watson or playing Russell Wilson, any of these top. I don't even really want to play Jared Goff, though. I mean, in cash, it's pretty much one of the top two guys for me. I'm okay with Josh Allen. It's between Josh Allen, Watson, and Wilson, if I'm being real. I like Watson the best this week against that Oakland defense that Aaron Rodgers just ate alive. I think Deshaun Watson at this point in his career compared to Aaron Rodgers at this point in career, I think Deshaun Watson is probably a more deadly passer. And in terms of fantasy games, I mean, he's got more upside because he can get those rushing touchdowns. I shouldn't use the word passer. I'm sure I'll eat my words on that one. But Deshaun Watson's definitely got more fantasy upside still, even after a monster week from Aaron Rodgers. That was way more than a ceiling game from him. So if we take Deshaun Watson against that same defense, I'm happy with that, and I don't even think you have to play Hopkins to correlate with him. We'll get to wide receiver here in a second, but Deshaun Watson's one of those QBs where you could just play him by himself and be comfortable with it. It doesn't matter who he throws the ball to. They have two tight ends, Akins and Fells. They have Hopkins, Stills, and Kiki Kuti all pretty much in rotation for a decent target share. Here at running back in cash games, because we're paying up for QB, and we're going to be pretty solid across the board in terms of salary. I'm not going to be paying up for CMC or Saquon. I actually think they're better for tournaments this week, which is rare. Usually I'm looking to plug in one of those guys in cash. But my favorite running back is actually going to be Chris Carson playing against Atlanta. Atlanta's done better against running backs this year than they did last year, but I still am not sold on it. I'm especially with the volume Chris Carson gets. He's just getting 20-plus carries, 20-plus touches every single game, and he's getting involved in the passing game. Chris Carson's an absolute lock against an offense that struggled last week and against a pretty elite defense. Hopefully the Atlanta team gets kind of smoked here, and Chris Carson just drips the clock. So I do love Chris Carson quite a bit this week. And then one of my favorite value plays is going to be Ty Johnson playing for the Detroit Lions. With Kerryon out on IR, which sucks. Ty Johnson actually flashed some pretty good skills so far this year. I mean, he hasn't had a big monster game or anything, but when he's on the field, though, he's been pretty productive. In the last game against Minnesota, he did pretty well, and they got him involved in the passing game as well, which is kind of what I'm looking for when I'm paying $4,900 for a running back. If you're going to get 4 to 6 targets, that's beautiful. I mean, at $4,900, you're going to hit value if you're getting 4 to 6 targets generally. So I'm really looking to play Ty Johnson. That's probably one of my favorite salary savers in cash games this week, especially at like RB2 or flex. And then if we jump over to wide receiver now, though, if you want to pay up for DeAndre Hopkins, I'm okay with it. I just really feel more comfortable going with Michael Thomas here, I think. Because of the consistency of Michael Thomas this year and because of his pace-up matchup at home against Arizona, I think I lean Michael Thomas. It's hard not to want to go with the positive correlation of Hopkins and Watson, but I don't think you have to. It's a coin toss for me, really. I'm okay with either one. I don't mind. I mean, that Oakland team got chewed by Aaron Rodgers. I expect Watson to go nuts. Hopkins will obviously reap some benefits of that. Then Michael Thomas at 8K is also a great play. I don't think the salary is going to make too much of a difference. The 100, I don't mind paying the extra $100 to get to Hopkins. So if you prefer, because you want to stack Watson and Hopkins, go for it. If you want to go Thomas, go Thomas. For the sake of the video, I guess we'll go Hopkins. But I need one of those two guys in cash this week. I want to pay up for a wide receiver one in cash. I generally don't do that. I don't feel like you have to. But now jumping into probably one of my very favorite plays on the slate. For tournaments, for cash games, for anything possible on any site, I'll pay up for him. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel. We'll show you that in a second. But John Brown has been just super consistent this year. He's getting 5+ targets every single week. Some weeks he's getting 8, 10, 11. He's gone for over 50 yards every single game this season. I think he's like one of 3 receivers or something. He's one of the few to do that, consistently this year, is go for 50+. I think there's only a few others that have done that, but regardless, he's playing this Philly secondary that's absolutely buns. He's going to do well against them. This game could be a sneaky shootout, too. Buffalo's got a stout run defense, and so does Philly. This could just be an air game. This could just be a passing game shootout. I'm not saying it's going to be 42-38. I'm just talking like it could be just an all-out, passing battle of 50 attempts for both QBs. So I'm looking to play John Brown in pretty much all formats this week. I can't stress it enough. I love John Brown. I love this Buffalo team. I think they're a lot of fun to watch, and I also really think John Brown playing with Josh Allen is a great correlation because Josh Allen just loves to throw that ball deep. Sometimes he throws it about 15 yards too short or too far, but when he throws it in the vicinity of John Brown, that ball's going to get reeled in, and it's going to be a nice conversion. But let's jump into one of the trades that happened recently. Emmanuel Sanders going to the Niners. He was not getting a boatload of targets. I get it. A lot of people saying, it's not going to really affect Courtland Sutton or Deshaun Hamilton because he was only getting a handful of targets a game. I understand. But if you add 2 targets onto what Courtland Sutton's doing right now, just hypothetically, 8 targets, and these 2, they average 8. And he's getting these fantasy points per game. That's 3 points per target, 2.5, 1.5, and 2 points per target. It's a pretty bad way to look at things because it's so, there's a high variance there. But my point is if you add just an extra 2 targets onto what he's already getting, you're so much more likely to get a touchdown out of Courtland Sutton. It's not even funny. You're increasing his target by 25%. I mean, that's monster numbers inbound. I love Courtland Sutton, especially against Indy. Indy does not have a good defense. Denver does not have a good offense. Don't get me wrong. But I'm comfortable playing Courtland Sutton in cash, most definitely. He's been double digits almost every single game this year except for the Chicago game. I want Courtland Sutton. I'm sold on him. I loved him as a talent last year. Sucks it took him until this year to break out because I had him in season long last year. But that brings me to tight end, though. Tight end this week for cash is pretty chalky on Darren Waller. It looks like it's going to be anyway. It's pretty early, but looks like it's going to be pretty chalky on Waller, rightfully so. If I'm playing tournaments, that's one of my favorite games to stack, like full stack, like Terrell Williams, the Gazelle, Darren Waller, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenny Stills, Kiki Cootie, some combination of all those guys. I like that a lot for a tournament line, which we can get into tomorrow. Don't want to kill too much of your time, but tight end this week, it's going to be pretty chalky on these high price guys. If you're playing like I am and you're paying up for your core up here, it's going to be pretty tough to fit them in. Let's go ahead and grab a defense real quick. I think the Chargers defense or the Buccaneers defense are probably the best values on the slate. The Bucs defense did not look good these past 2 weeks, but even so, the first four weeks, they were allowing 30, 14, 30, 40, and they were still putting up those fantasy points. Now they're playing Tennessee on the road. I'm okay with playing them here. I'm also okay with playing the Chargers, even though they've looked pretty shoddy the past couple weeks. Chicago's offense is just that bad. I'm okay with it. Either one of them, let's go ahead and plug in the Chargers, I guess. But at tight end, we're going to have an average of 4,700 left. It's tough at tight end for me this week because I'm not going to be paying up. I'm going to want to take one of these Houston tight ends. I'm going to want to take Darren Fells. I'm going to want to take Jordan Akins at 2,800. But honestly, I'm also okay with Noah Fant. It's hard to have a lot of Denver exposure because we all know they suck. I'm also okay with Dallas Goedert or Goddard. I still don't know how to say his name. I've heard both. Don't care. I'm just going to say Goedert. I'm okay with any of those 3 guys. It's kind of a pay down tight end. I'm not in love with either of them. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it. If you want to kind of get up a little bit to Eric Ebron right here at Darren Fells' price, I'm okay with that too because he's getting more targets than Fells is. At least he's getting 4 or 5 a game. If we were to plug him in, that'll leave us with 6K for our flex. Let's see what we can do with 6K in the flex. Ooh, just shy of Marlon Mack. That sucks. I do like Marlon Mack quite a bit this week. I don't really like Derrick Henry. Let's see. I like to. It's hard in cash games because you really need to play a running back in your flex. Now, hear me out, if Alvin Kamara misses and we could get Latavius Murray down here, that's absolutely beautiful. But I'm gonna leave it with that. Y'all can always fill in that last spot. I'm gonna jump over to FanDuel real quick. There's a couple values I just want to point out. All of those plays I just mentioned apply to FanDuel unless there's a drastic overprice or something like that. But a couple guys I do want to show you. Calvin Ridley, way too cheap over here on FanDuel, especially with no Sanu now. This is looking like a Calvin Ridley goes off sort of spot. Playing against the Rams team, he wasn't able to do much, but now playing against Seattle, Seattle just picked up a beast safety, Quandre Diggs from the Lions, and they're gonna have a stronger secondary than people think now. He's a huge benefactor of that trade because, or Seattle's a huge benefactor of the trade because Quandre is just a beast. He's going to add a lot of pressure on some blitzes if they're doing any safety blitzes as well as just coverage in general. Calvin Ridley, though, at 5,400, way too cheap because you know Julio is going to be the priority in terms of who they're trying to cover. If Matt Ryan plays, I love Calvin Ridley. And then if Royce Freeman, over here on FanDuel, look at his price. He's 5,700 over here. I think he's like 55 on Draftkings or something. I prefer him on FanDuel for sure. But I mean, when you think about the rushing attempts he's getting, the targets he's getting, it's kind of ridiculous to me that he's this underpriced. He's getting a higher snap count than Phillip Lindsay right now. I like Royce Freeman as a great salary saver over here. I like Calvin Ridley as a salary saver over here. And then if you blend in some of the plays I mentioned on DraftKings, you'll be looking good. But that's going to do it for my cash locks for this week. Tomorrow I will be posting my GPP locks video, and I hope that y'all are here for that one as well because we're going to have some fun with that this week. There's a lot of sneaky shootouts this week, a lot of different games I'm looking to take some parts of, so make sure you turn on your notifications. Don't miss that one. If you have not already, please do leave a like on this video. I greatly appreciate it, as always. And again, if you do have anything for me, please leave it in the comment section below, and I will see y'all tomorrow morning.